So I taught the entire lesson last class, and then at the end of my 8th period class, somebody asked me a really good question, and I realized that I did not explain something explicitly in the notes that we needed to go back and talk about. It's implied, but I don't think we made the connection quite yet. Plus, I needed to clarify some things that I think I may have taught just a little bit wrong or just not clear enough to get all of the points correct. So when we talk about inverse functions, just like you answered the question at the door, the very first thing that we do with all of our variables is we switch their positions. We switch the x's and y's. Well, what that means for us is that we also have to switch the domains and the ranges for inverse functions. Basically, the domain of f of x is going to become the range of the inverse. Domain becomes range because we switch the x's and y's. The range of f of x is going to become the domain of the inverse, which makes sense. We said switch the x's and y's, and if domain is x's and range is y's, we also switch the domain and range. But that idea of switching the x's and y's, so switching the domains and ranges, actually will help me decide which type of function I'm going to use to talk about for an inverse function. And I'm talking specifically about the inverse of quadratic and square root functions. Now, none of the problems you did last time were wrong the way we did them. There will just be problems where the way we did it last time is not going to get you full points, so I needed to clarify. When you take the square root of both sides of an equation, just think back to when we learned about taking square roots, we always had to include this plus or minus, yeah? Well, technically, we still need to do that whenever we're taking the square root of an entire function to find the inverse of a quadratic. But the problem gets to be, if you look at what a square root function looks like, if you put the plus and minus on it, it's going to look something like this. And that's not a function, because your x's would repeat. So we have to make a decision if we want to keep the plus side or if we want to keep the minus side of the square root function, because the plus side will be above the x-axis, the minus side will be below. It won't be both ever, because that's not a function, that's a relation. So here's how we make that decision. I've got 2 examples. They're pretty much all worked out for you, because this is just, again, some clarifications for you today. Example 1 says, find the inverse of the function f when f of x is equal to x squared plus 2 for x greater than or equal to 0. Notice, they gave you a restriction on your domain. X greater than or equal to 0, is that all of your positive x values or all of your negative x values? Positive. So we're only looking at the positive side of a quadratic. Scroll down for a second. Here's your quadratic graphed on a calculator. I need to cross one side off because I don't want both sides. I'm only looking at the side where x is greater than 0. So we're not talking about the left side of this quadratic. We're only talking about the right side. We have created that restriction for ourselves. And the reason we have that restriction is because if we just straight up took the square root, we'd need plus or minus. We know that's not a relation, so we have to put a restriction on the domain. Okay, so we go about our business finding the inverse. What's this first step? What did I do again? Switch the x's and y's. At this point, my instructions from last class were solve for x. And that varied from question to question. So what did I do to go from this line to this line? Subtract 2 from both sides, and then from this line to this line, what did I do? Square root of both sides. Very good. However, notice what I did not put last class that now I needed to clarify. When you take the square root of both sides, you have to put the plus or minus. It didn't mess us up last time because all of the problems required you to use the plus side, so it didn't matter. But there are chances that you would need to use the minus. So here's how we decide. Should we use the plus or the minus? Great question. Here's what we think to ourselves. The domain of f of x is x greater than or equal to 0. They told us that. We crossed off the left side, we only have the right side. The range of f of x is y greater than or equal to 2. Where did I get that number from? I mean, yeah, it's the range. But how did I pick y greater than or equal to 2? The 2 outside. Ooh, when we have 2's on the outside like this, what kind of transformation is that? Vertical what? Translation. And it went up, yeah? So we took a quadratic from it hitting the origin, we moved it up 2 units. So we have moved up 2 y values So my range of this quadratic, which always is above its lowest value, is y greater than or equal to 2. Okay? Therefore, those three little dots mean therefore, we're going to switch this to create the inverse domain and range. The domain of f inverse is x greater than or equal to 2. Where did I get that number from? The range. This range became the domain. And then the range of f inverse, which, oops, there's a typo on mine. Is there a typo on yours? I might have fixed it before I hit print. Did I fix it? What's wrong with this? LOL. My bad, bless you. Yeah, if that's not printed on yours, go ahead and give that a little negative. F to the 1 is not really a thing. F inverse, my bad. The range of f inverse is y greater than or equal to 0. Again, switching the domain and range from regular to inverse. Since the range of all real numbers above 0. Okay, that's this purple thing that I'm talking about here. We're going to use the positive square root because we want numbers bigger than 0, which means we want positive numbers. So we finalize our answer with f inverse being equal to the positive version, square root of x minus 2, for the domain x greater than 2. Now let's talk about what that looks like on a graph. On a graph, we had this. We said it's a square root function where x is greater than or equal to 2. We know that a square root function looks something like this, so we're going to start at 2 and reflect it over that line y equal to x. Again, it's a reflection over that dashed line in the center, which I've already drawn for you. Let's see another fully worked example, except I'm going to have you fill in some stuff on this one. This time it says find the inverse of a function g when g of x is equal to x squared minus 2 for x less than or equal to 0. So is this domain telling me that I'm using all of the positive x's or all of the negative x's? Negative. So we go down to our image. We're going to cross off all the ones that do not fit that domain, which is all these guys. Goodbye. We don't want to look at you because we only want half of this parabola. That's going to help us choose whether we want positive or negative later on. We go through the steps we learned last time. We switch x and y, we solve for y, but we get to this point where we have to make a decision, do I use the plus or the minus? We think about the domain and range to answer that question. What is the domain of g of x? It was given to you in the problem. Yeah? Okay, and then if you look down at the graph that we already drew, such if you think about quadratics that have been translated down 2 units, what's the range of g of x? Y is greater than or equal to negative 2. It's all of the y values above negative 2, because all we did was take this quadratic and move it down 2 units. Therefore, what is the domain of its inverse? Amazing, we just switched these and switched the letters. So what's the range of g inverse? Y is less than or equal to 0. Therefore, based on the range, since the range is all numbers below 0, less than 0, are we going to use the positive or the negative square root? The negative. So it does truly matter about that domain and range so that you can make proper decisions. And therefore, we have our final inverse here. G inverse is equal to negative square root of x plus 2. For that domain, we got x greater than or equal to negative 2. So when you're taking a restricted domain's inverse, if they give you any restrictions on the domain, you probably want to find the range so that you can flip-flop them for the other part. Just to finish this out, if we were to graph this, because again, graphing is part of our I totally just drew that. I just drew that with a positive square root. So we have this coordinate point. It should be the negative version. My bad. I'm so sorry. I literally was just making a point about picking the right one and I picked the wrong one. Ugh, how dare I? I'm going to blame that on Monday brain. Like I said, this changes nothing about what I taught you last class. I just needed to add those clarifications, especially when it comes to restricted domains, on what to do.